Hi there, I'm Lois, and I really felt compelled to do a video about spiritual awakenings because there's a lot of them happening, and you might be one of them, or you might know someone that is going through a spiritual awakening at the moment. And you're wondering, what can you do to support them? How do you even know if you're going through one or if someone else is? Because I think it's important to make it people aware that having a spiritual awakening is nothing to be afraid of. It is intense, but it's nothing to fear. It's nothing to do with religion. It's not even necessarily to do with God, although you may hear people talk about God essence. But it's not a religious experience by any means. And it can be mistaken wrongly for depression or anxiety or a mental breakdown. So I just want people to please, before you go reaching for the pills or before you get yourself checked into a psychiatric ward, just consider this possibility, because they can be very similar, certainly on the surface. But there are key ways you can really identify if someone is having a spiritual awakening or if it is a mental health crisis. So, what is a spiritual awakening? Well, essentially, it's this. It's your soul remembering what it is at the essence, and that is pure unconditional love. That is the purest vibration there is on this planet, in this universe, in this whole existence around us. And our souls incarnate in these bodies, and we're given these minds to go off and experience life. Now, some souls will write themselves a contract when they come to Earth about what it is they want to experience. It may be that they want to experience the worst of life and the best of life. Maybe they want to experience meeting a soulmate. Maybe they need to release any kind of karma within family dynamics. That's why you have this reincarnation of souls, because they're trying to end like ancestral karma that's gone on and on over centuries. In my case, slightly different. My soul decided to sign a contract with itself to incarnate into two separate bodies, and this is called a twin flame experience. There are lots of them around. More and more people are meeting their twin flames. It's a silly name, really, a twin flame. It doesn't really mean anything. It purely is just your soul incarnating into two bodies, with the agreement that at a certain divine timing, those two bodies would be brought back together so that you could have soul recognition and your soul would reawaken, and you would have this spiritual awakening, and the soul would essentially come back to its purest form, which is unconditional love. However, you'll need to check my video about what twin flames are and what the point of it is to get the full ins and outs, but it's intense. Now, you can have a spiritual awakening through many things. It could be childbirth, it could be an accident, it could be near-death experience, it could be trauma. Some people just awake just because it's their time, because they're sick of this life, because they can feel the energy, because it's what they agreed when they incarnated onto this earth. So for me, I was starting to have an awakening during lockdown. I felt such bliss when that happened, and nobody could understand why I was so happy, but it was like this. It was peaceful, it was tranquil, it was like, I think it's like heaven on earth. And I started to question things and question myself. But the real awakening didn't happen until December 22, when I met my twin. And holy crap, what an experience. It's like being fired out of a cannon at 1,000,000 miles an hour on fire. And you're just shot into space with no parachute and no idea where you're going and when you're going to land. It's quite an experience. It's intense. And actually, for some people, the spiritual awakening can happen over a long period of time. It can take months, years. In a twin flame experience, it's pretty rapid. I mean, it happens literally, boom. The moment you meet, that's it. You're on that journey. Your soul has awoken. And you're on it. You can't get off. And that's the thing with the spiritual awakening. You cannot get off. There is no red button to say stop. You have to follow through with it. And for some people, the reason it becomes very difficult is because they resist. Because we get trapped in this ego that we have, and that's not like not ego in like an arrogant sense. This is ego is in the mind's patterning, our beliefs. This is what we've been brought up to be conditioned with, you know, whether we believe that we are these things, we believe we are these bodies, we believe we are our professions, our friendship groups, we believe that we're lazy, we believe that we're stupid, we believe that we're crazy, we believe that we're kind, compassionate. I'm a mum, I'm a son, I'm a policeman, I'm a doctor. It's all superficial stuff, it's all 3D. We get so fixated on the ego into superficial things like cars and money and all things like that, and they just don't matter. This is what matters. This in here is what matters. And that's what the soul awakening is for. It's to remember what you are in essence. You are pure unconditional love. And you tend to find a spiritual awakening will happen. You get waves of it, you get groups of it. You'll have what they call great awakenings or mass awakenings. And it is to help heal. It's because the vibration of this planet has dropped dramatically to a level that is unsustainable. And as we know, with things like COVID, with war, with depression, the mental health crisis that's going on, global warming, we kind of send out this call to the universe to say, bring in the cavalry. And the cavalry is us. The cavalry is this awakening. Because by waking up, we raise the vibration on this planet. We raise the vibration not only with us, but with as a collective. And then that generates out into this universe. Before you know it, people are shifting, things are lifting. You know, it changes across the planet, you know, economies, weather, just generally people's moods. It is an amazing thing to be part of. And you should never fear it, and don't judge it. It's not something to be judged. If someone says they've had a spiritual awakening, give them a round of applause. Because those people have gone through something spectacular. Now, the unfortunate thing with the twin flame journey, as you will know about in the video, is that because you have the two parts, you have the conscious twin and the unconscious twin. The conscious twin is the one that awakens first and goes through a lot of the deeper awareness of what this journey is. They know that it's a spiritual awakening. The unconscious twin, however, doesn't. And they are very much still fixed in their ego. But because you are one soul, the one that awakens first pulls the other one along with them. But it can take a long time. It depends how resistant that other soul's body and mind is. So how do you know you're having one? And it's not just a mental health crisis. A few key things will happen. So, first thing that usually happens is you start to question, what's the point? What is the purpose of life? What is your meaning in this world? Why are you here? What's the world about? What's the universe? You know, you start asking, you start looking for deeper meaning. You start wondering, what is the point of everything? Your life just suddenly lacks meaning. And you want to know why. Why are you here? What is your role? You suddenly get that deeper knowing within you that you're meant for more. And you don't know quite why or what. There's just that knowing in you. For some people, they may find that they start to develop what I guess you would call psychic gifts, but it could be that they just start to experience more deja vu. They can experience very vivid dreams, premonitions. Some of their clair senses start kicking off. Maybe they start having like clairaudience, clairsentience. Sometimes they just start having, you know, like those knowing feelings about things. Some people don't. But initially you will have that questioning. And that can go on for a while. And from that questioning, you'll start to want to research more about spirituality. It will just lead you there. You might want to research about Buddhism, about Hinduism, about the universe, the cosmos, all sorts of things. You'll just start getting a bit more interested in it. And you'll also start to become a little bit more detached from the superficial things in life. Things that you once enjoyed just don't really float your boat anymore. People that you used to hang around with, just suddenly you just don't connect with anymore. And anything that is really superficial, surface level crap just doesn't excite you. It doesn't interest you. You want more. You want deeper connection, deeper meaning, more fulfillment. You're really craving it. Like, it's not just an interest, it's a really deep craving for more. And then that kind of then just leads on to internalizing, shall we say. You start to go within, you start to look at yourself, and you start to wonder how did you get here, basically? You look back at your life, you start to go into your childhood. Now, I wouldn't say that everybody would necessarily go through this as intense as you do on a twin flame journey, but for some people it can be intense, especially if it comes from a trauma. You go through something which is called the ego death, or dark night of the soul. This is where you are stripping back all this conditioning, all these limiting beliefs, all this egoic thought patterning that you have developed over your time living here. It's all that karmic patterns of, you date idiots, you keep getting yourself into financial trouble, you constantly find yourself just looping over the same things again and again. You have these limiting beliefs that you're not capable of anything, you're stupid, you're not worth anything, you can't find love, you don't have many friends, you're not good at your job, you think you're stupid, there's so many things, and it's all negativity that builds up. It forms layers upon layers on you, and your soul wants to break all that free so that it can just breathe. So this ego death is literally stripping everything back. And as you can imagine, a lot of traumas and core wounds and a lot of these limiting beliefs will come from childhood. And it will take you right back to those really painful experiences. So for me, I was bringing up every trauma I'd ever gone through. From abandonment issues when my dad left, childhood traumas, abuse, feelings of worthlessness, low self-esteem, not feeling loved, not feeling wanted. Just a desperate need all my life to be loved. That's all I ever wanted, was to be loved, to be wanted, to be chosen. Because I felt like I wasn't. And it still brings up emotions of that now, because although I've been on this journey for a while, you purge. So when you have this ego death, it brings everything up and you have to release it. So you go through these different parts of your life where you have to release these negative thoughts, these negative beliefs. You have to get rid of them, let them out. And you can cry for days. You can have really deep depressions. And the way to know that this is an ego death and not a mental health crisis is that after each purge, as we call it, which can last a couple of hours, could be a couple of days, could be a week, but after each purge of releasing, crying, sobbing, being tormented, you ascend. You have an enlightenment. You have a greater awareness. You suddenly understand why that experience happened, why you went through it, and you gain clarity from it. You have an inner standing. You don't carry that belief or that thought patterning with you anymore. It's released, it's gone. You're cured. It's better than therapy, believe me. I had years of therapy and it couldn't even touch the surface. I had 3 months of a spiritual awakening and I cured every trauma I ever went through. Some things will hang on, like this need for love. You have to get rid of the neediness, the wanting, the craving, the desire. Because at a soul level, you are pure love. You are everything within yourself. Everything that you think you want out here, it's already in here. And you have to get to a point of loving yourself unconditionally, of purely choosing you. Choose yourself. And it's not selfish, but we're led to believe that you can't do things for yourself. You can't want things for yourself. You can't put yourself first. But when you're on an aeroplane, what do they teach you? Put your own safety face mask on first before you help other people. And that is what you're trying to do here. You are preserving yourself. You are nurturing yourself, pouring so much love within yourself. And when you do that, your vibration raises. So you go through waves. We call these oscillations, where you get these highs, you get these epiphanies, you get this awareness, and you feel great and everything's amazing, and you think, oh my God, I've just cleared all that crap. I no longer have these limiting beliefs of worthlessness. And then boom, you go back down again and you purge more, or you'll purge something else. A memory will come up of, I don't know, when your partner left you and you felt abandoned, and then abandonment issues come up. You go back to a time when you were in school and you peed your pants, and feelings of embarrassment and shame come up, and you purge that out. And you keep doing this. You release every single trauma, every negative restraint that's been built up in your mind. You let it go. You become free. Oh, it's an incredible experience when you get there. But when you're going through it, it's freaking horrible. I can't even begin to tell you. And a side effect of a twin flame experience is you get obsessive thinking about the other person, which is horrible. You don't always get that with other awakenings. Just in a twin flame. It's a nice little add-on you get there. So yeah, you purge. So that's how you notice the difference. Because when you have someone going through depression, it tends to be a spiral down. And it doesn't pick up. It just goes down and down. And maybe they plateau. But the feeling of desperation and worthlessness seems to grow. Seems to manifest, seems to build, and it stays within them, and they get a darkness. With an ego death, you go down, but you come up. You always come back up. Always. After each one, you come up, and you're better, and people will notice a change in you. You glow, you start to radiate, you start to act different, speak different, feel different, move different, talk different. People notice things about you, and you'll have people come up to you and say, wow, you've changed, you look great, you seem different, you seem happier, and you don't know why. It's amazing. But you raising that vibration starts raising it in other people around you, and you'll start to get people coming up to you, and they'll be acting different. And the people that you don't vibrate with anymore, because we are all energy, we all vibrate on frequencies. And you have people in really dense frequencies, and these are the people who are so full in their egos and so fixated on crap and 3D and just stuff and nonsense. They don't live within their hearts and their souls. They're very dense, and we all kind of live at that existence for a while. But when you're having your spiritual awakening, you go through each purge, your vibration raises. You kick up a gear each time. And each time you do, these people just don't fit in your life anymore. They fall away. Another great thing you'll find on a spiritual awakening, and this is brilliant, your soul calls in your soul tribe. These are people, they could be soulmates, and soulmates don't have to be romantic, but you bring in people at a time when you need them, and it's incredible. People will just naturally fall into your life, and they will be there to support you through that particular journey that you're going through, that particular part of your ego death, or that particular part of your enlightenment. And you learn from each other, and you feed the energy through each other, and you raise each other. And sometimes once you've learned that lesson, or you've ascended to that next vibration, perhaps they fall away too. And they come in and out of your life as and when you need them. Sometimes they just do their purpose and they go. And it's easy. You let each other go. You will also have valuable lessons to learn, and this is where your karmics come in. These karmic patternings of, you have to break those patterns. They could be ancestral, they could be things within the family, you know, this constant patterning of financial poverty or divorce or any kind of trauma. Maybe you think you have a mental illness that runs through the family. This could actually be a karmic pattern that you are here to break. You have dynamics with your family. Maybe there's always been animosity between siblings, between parents. I know in my family, it was always to do with money. And there was always animosity about who was right, who was wrong, who had the most money, who owned this. It was all superficial stuff, and I could never relate to that side of my family. We also had limiting beliefs, conditioning that, money was not meant for this side of the family. That side were rich. We were poor. We were always poor. There were also egoic things such as, not being loved, not being worthy, not being chosen. And that was my calling. That's why I had this spiritual awakening. I'm not sure why I agreed to do it through a twin flame experience, but I'm grateful because I love my twin. I unconditionally love my twin flame. And, they're going through their karmic experience as we speak. And I had to go through my karmic experiences. I've had to go through learning about not giving myself away, about respecting myself, respecting my body. I always had this pattern of, because I needed love, because I craved it, I would give myself away. I would lower my standards. I would overstep boundaries just to hold on to somebody. Usually it would be in a sexual way. I would not be promiscuous, but perhaps I would settle. Perhaps I would stay in relationships longer than I should. Perhaps I dated people that I just knew weren't right for me, but I would cling on for dear life because I just wanted that feeling. And I woke up and I realized that's not how you live. If you love yourself unconditionally, you don't need it from anybody else. And that's another thing a twin flame will teach you. To love yourself first is the greatest love of all. Because, as RuPaul says, you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And you have to know that. You have to know what unconditional love is within yourself before you can give it to somebody else. And when you know what it is within you, you can teach others about unconditional love. It's incredible. And I'm still learning. I'm still getting there. And with that unconditional love and with that ego death, you have a greater awareness of everything around you. You become more in tune. And this is another sign. You crave nature. You crave to be close to anything like the sea, rivers, water in general. You crave to be near woods, forests, animals, and even animals act differently around you. You start to notice that dogs and cats look differently towards you. You might find that you are surrounded by birds. You might find that just naturally animals, creatures, they just kind of seem to act different around you, and you feel like you've become more in tune with them. And this is the other incredible thing that happens, is you gain unity consciousness, which is that feeling of oneness with everything, because we are all connected at the end of the day. You think that you are better than someone else, or you think that you've got nothing in common with anyone else. Well, you do, because you're a soul. And our souls incarnate from this one great source. I'm not saying it's heaven. I'm not saying any of that. This is divine. This is source. This is God essence. This is Christ consciousness. Whatever you want to call it. People have a different thing for everything. I call it universe. The universe brought us here. Brought our souls here. And the best way I can describe that is if you took a bottle and you smashed it on the floor, you would have thousands of tiny little fragments, all perfectly individual from each other. But in essence, they're all the same. And they've all come from the exact same thing. But now they are just lots of little pieces, lots of individual souls floating around in all these individual bodies. And some of them, as in my case, happen to have split their souls into two bodies. But that's what we are. We all come from the one source. And we go back there when we die. And then we reincarnate. And that's how we have all these remembrances of experiences that we've had in past lives. That's our soulmate connection. When you have that familiarity and you're like, I know you, but why do I know you? I've never met you before. You have, just in a past life. And we have these different time dimensions. Einstein was always talking about it. The theory of relativity. People like Tesla and the frequency of the universe. We live on these different timelines. So while you're living this life here, you're also living another life over here and over here and over here, and over here, and over here, and over here. And these timelines, they cross. It's when you get that deja vu. It's when you get that feeling of, have I done this before? Yeah, you have, just in a different timeline. You're living simultaneously. And that's what we refer to as the higher self. So when you reach this like unity consciousness and you no longer see everyone as separate, you see yourself as connected at a soul level. You see that these bodies are just bodies, they don't really matter. Because when we die, the essence of ourselves is gone. Anybody that's seen a relative that's passed away, they don't seem like your relative anymore, do they? And you think that that's the personality. That's your soul. That was your soul that left that body, and now that body is just a shell. And the mind doesn't even exist when you die. The mind is only here to keep you safe, to protect you. But it develops stupid systems in which to do that. Now, when you're getting chased by a dinosaur or a lion or a tiger, the mind wants to give you these fight, flight, or freeze reactions to keep you safe. But through life, we develop these emotional responses to things that happen to us. For instance, like I sort of give that reference of, you wet yourself in public. People laugh. You create emotional response in you that makes you feel embarrassed, that makes you feel shameful. And your mind remembers that emotional response. And when you have that emotional response again, and it could be for something completely different, you might just suddenly feel a little bit embarrassed because you tripped over in the street or something, you just stumbled, or you didn't have the right money at the shop. Your mind goes, I remember that emotion, that's shame. The two attach. And from then on, you have this bonded emotional thought reaction that when this thing happens, you get triggered into this thought process. So whenever you have these feelings or these experiences that trigger that emotional response of guilt or shame, your mind is telling you, that's what that is. That's guilt, that's shame, that is. You should be shameful. You should be very feeling bad of yourself. And you attach it and you believe it. And your soul wants to release you from that. Stop being a prisoner to this mind. You are not the servant to your mind. Let the soul come out. Let the soul breathe. So if you feel like you've experienced any of this, or you've noticed someone around you is acting different, those first signs are so important. The searching for meaning, the acting different, the interest in spirituality, in space, in cosmos. Maybe they do get an interest in religion. And then you will just suddenly notice that they go through these very dark moods and then they have these epiphanies. And the best way you can support someone on a spiritual journey is no judgment. Don't question it. Just let them go through it and listen. And when they're having this ego death, just support them through it. They might not want to tell you everything. Just be there. And if they want to talk about it, let them talk. And don't question anything they tell you. Just be open to it. Because I guarantee as a result of being in contact with this person going through their experience, you are going to start to awaken too. And you're going to need them to support you. And that's why I'm here. That's why I do this channel. That's why I've become a mind and soul coach. It's very different to a life coach. I'm not here to teach people how to grow their business or be a better you. I'm here to help you become the you that you were always meant to be, to help you discover your soul, to help you raise your vibration and live the life that you were brought to this earth to live. You're not here just to exist, you're here to live, you're here to experience. That is the meaning of life, to experience pure, unconditional love for yourself, for everyone and everything around you. And we do it as a collective, this place becomes a more wonderful place to live. So if you feel like you've done this through a twin flame experience, I'd go check out my other videos about twin flames. There's plenty of videos on here about twin flames on YouTube. Don't listen to a lot of them, it's crap. As I say, you know you've had a twin flame experience because you will go through an ego death. You will have that dark night of the soul and you will have obsessive thinking about that person. But you have to realize on a spiritual awakening journey through a twin flame, it is not about the person. That's just energy. That's all we are. We are all energy. When we go, all our energy goes. We feed off each other. We are just energetic beings. And we need to tap into that, because when you do, holy crap, amazing things happen. You learn how to manifest. You learn how to tap into those psychic abilities. You can read people in a room. You can know things before they happen. Your intuition goes mad. And you actually learn to connect to your higher self, which is kind of like your inner voice, your inner knowing. Your spirit guides, guardian angels, whatever you want to call them. They're all there. They're all helping you along. And you're probably going to question, what about the people that decide to take their own lives? What about the people that die in car accidents or strange circumstances? Well, that was their soul's journey. I know this is horrible. I've lost loved ones. I've lost friends. Some people don't choose that experience, but not everybody can handle the experiences they gave themselves to experience on this earth. Not everybody is prepared for it. Not everybody is strong enough to go through it. And sometimes the ego takes over. It's not the soul that wants to die. It's the ego, the mind. It decides it can't cope. It short fuses. And then it goes. And in terms of everything else, like a freak accident or illness, no, we don't want to experience that necessarily, but the people that do go through it, they help everybody else. They give themselves to help others experience. And just know that those souls, when they go, they come back. They will reincarnate. Or perhaps they become your spirit guides. We all think, our great-grandparent or our aunt or our mum or our dad, when they pass over, they're watching over us. They are. They really are. It's an amazing, crazy world out there when it comes to spiritual awakenings. It's an amazing experience. When you get to the other side, and you will always be learning, your awakening does not just stop. You don't just wake up and go, there you go, I've hit level 10, woohoo! Doesn't work like that. You're always evolving, always learning, always growing, always expanding. Oh, it's amazing. It's hard, but it is amazing. When you get to this point, you never want to go back. It's incredible. It really is. So I urge you, before you get yourself checked in a clinic, before you reach for the pills, before you deem that person crazy, consider it could be a spiritual awakening and let go. Trust the universe has got you. Trust in this process. Let it all come out. And if you don't have any of those key symptoms, then please do seek medical and professional help. I hope this has been helpful, and if you have any questions, you can always comment below, or you can get in touch with me at Lois Mind and Soul Coaching. I'll leave the details in the description box how you can get hold of me. I do one-to-one coaching, and I'm always here whenever you need me. So I wish you a very blessed day. Get yourselves out in nature, and even if you're not having a spiritual awakening, just love yourself, forgive yourself, and be yourself. Being authentic is one of the greatest qualities you can possess as a human being. Get in touch with yourself here and get out of here. Take care, everyone. Much love.